Recorded live with little or no editing, it's Defense Up War Edition. Today we're going over Jwade's defense, and we had, again, another spectacular lineup of content creators and community assistance members in here helping me figure out these war teams. We had a lot of fun going over this. I learned a ton of stuff. I didn't even realize how rusty I am at war. But Jwade is operating at Plat 3. They've got a pretty decent lineup. We found some tweaks that they can make to their roster to improve them. Starting with room number 1 is the hero Asgardians, and this team at where we're operating at, this is pretty much trash. It's going to get blown up. We're going to end up taking apart this team, possibly using some pieces, possibly not. And on your roster, if you have bigger members of this team, we'll be using more of them. We'll talk about it later. But for right now, let's get rid of this team. Let's replace it with Underworld if you have them available. That'd be a great replacement for this. It's a fast team that requires specific counters to it, and it would be much more effective than this. We might use some pieces of it. So for me, this is really not good. It's not built big enough, and it's not worthy of being built bigger. So I'm giving this one a D+. Let's get it out of here. Team number 2 is the Infestation team with Big Time. This is a luxury defense team. I don't think for Jwade it's worth it to be building this team any bigger. It looks like Black Widow's going, into DD6. Because Black Widow is so big and because she goes invisible, we want to swap places with Big Time and Black Widow. Black Widow could be made a striker, but we've already got a team full of strikers here, so I don't know. I think it's probably fine as a skirmisher. It's not really going to make a difference. If you're excited about war and you do want to move up, you could spare some resources for Big Time. Hopefully, and this is not going to happen, but hopefully Big Time gets the Web Warrior tag because people are talking about Web Warriors in Alpha 5. That's the latest rumor going on. And if they gave Big Time the Web Warrior tag, that'd make that Alpha raid feel a lot better. They're not going to do that. It's too much value. So it was just something that we did talk about when we were behind the scenes. By the way, if you want to come watch these behind the scenes, my links are in the description below. Come find me on Twitch. We normally do these on a Friday, but I wanted to fit Jwade in because he kind of got skipped, so we're doing it today. You can always come watch these. The behind the scenes live on Twitch is the only place you can find the conversations when the content creators come in and we chat about this for quite a while. So be sure to make it there. All right, this is a good enough team. It's just like it is what it is, and it's just not really worth investing in anymore. So placement swap to improve it on this roster, and investing in this team, I just can't recommend that unless you're really wanting to push harder in war. And then yes, it's a good war defense team, and your primary investment would go into Spider-Man Big Time. So for this, I'm gonna go B+. If we got that placement swap, I could have given it pretty much a solid A. Heroes for hire. Now, Dorky Dad tells us that you want Shang-Chi on an island, and what he means by this is that we're going to be putting, we're going to be putting Shang-Chi right here. We're going to be who we call Purple Sticky, otherwise known as Absorbing Man, right here, and we'll put Luke Cage right there in the middle. That way, the Preton tank divides Shang-Chi on one side and everybody else on the other, so it really kind of frustrates you with what kind of counters you can use in that. I don't like the Fortifier ISO on Luke Cage. I guess healer, I guess skirmisher, doesn't really matter. I'm not excited about Fortifier on this. I'm gonna give this team a B as is. I think it could be an A+ if we got that placement change, really utilizing the Preton tank. Over here, we have the Invaders plus Cap Sam. I am told that this is what the big boys use at the top of war. It's a very, very effective team. Doolum likes to put Raider on Fury, but it's not necessary. This is fine for war. The placement, the ISOs are perfectly acceptable. We're gonna give this one an A+ because that Cap Sam is in here, really speeding up those minions and all the things that are going on with this team. I really like it. Team number 5 is a mishmash. Again, this is another team that's used at the top. However, they use Loki instead of Emma. Loki speeding up Cloak, making him go before Firestar or whatever that fire person's name is. Don't expect me to remember it when like 18 people in Marvel Strike Force use fire abilities. I just can't do it anymore. Really like this team, super powerful, useful team. So let's swap out Emma, and I can give this an A, but for right now, I think this is gonna be more of a C+ team. It just doesn't work right. We want Fire Lady to go into those defense downs from Cloak. Moving on is the Young Avengers with Dormammu. Jwade was curious if Dormammu in here was a good choice. And what we came to was a solid meh. Dormammu works. We could also put in Quicksilver. You could put in a pre-taunt tank. We want to save America Chavez for other teams that are going to be more impactful. The Young Avengers just have a good solid build baked into them from the get-go. So anything really works as a fifth as long as it's an impactful character. Dormammu works just fine. We did find that Dormammu could be used in some other areas, and we'll talk about those teams here in the future. Here is where we want to talk about those hero Asgardians. We want, Loki is getting moved out of this team already, so that's where we're going to put Valkyrie. Valkyrie reviving, or Valkyrie giving a lot of positive effects to people when they die. Val reviving people when they die, so that's a good kind of synergy there. Now, that's where we want to stop on Jwade's defense, because Jwade's these Asgardians are way bigger than his hero Asgardians. This Bifrost team just outperforms them with the stats. Even with the lower stars, there's a lot higher investment in them. There's a lot more value to continue investing in this team. So we see this being the better choice. If your hero Asgardians happen to be as big or bigger than these members, then yeah, you want to go the hero Asgardian team with Vol and Beta Ray Bill that we've seen all over the place. But for right now, we're thinking let's just get Loki out of here and put Valkyrie in here. There's a lot of synergy going on with Jane and with Thor, so those are good choices to be replacing Sylvie and Kid Loki. But for now, it's just drop the one. This is a pretty solid team to just throw in here, but it's not very exciting, so I'm giving it a B-. If we can get that swap with Valkyrie in here. And don't really build Valkyrie, you don't need to do that, just put her in here. And then I could give you a solid A for this team. Number 8 is the Darkhole team with America Chavez. This is a really powerful and strong team. We like the placement and how it works, but if you really want to take it from an A to an A+, then let's put Dormammu in here in place of Heartless Strange. And then what we're going to do is make sure that America Chavez is speeding up Wong and Dormammu, excuse me. She's speeding up Wong and Dormammu, and that is just pure nightmare fuel and would get a much better grade. But this is fine if this is how you want to run it. Over here, we have the Unlimited in room 9. Now, I do like Rogue as a skirmisher for Arena, but on this team, I like her as a striker. What we want to do to take this to the next level, and this is especially important if you're working in a reactor room with that disrupted, what we want to do is we want to get rid of Phantom X and Fire Chicken, and we're going to replace them with, who do we want to replace them with? Drawing a total blank here for some reason. What we do want to do for sure when I figure out what those two replacements are going to be is it's going to be Dazzler, and then we're going to have the person who I can't remember in the back. Then we're going to go with Gambit in the middle and Rogue on the other side. Chad, help me out here. Who am I forgetting? Emma and Cable, thank you. Emma and Cable to speed up the team. That's right. Thank you, Chad. Emma and Cable in the back row to speed up the team. That just forces you to kind of go into it with War Dogs. And like I said, in Reactor, the War Dogs aren't going to function nearly that well. And by putting Emma and Cable in the back row, the War Dogs like to chain around, and they won't be able to do that once Emma and Cable are dead because there's that gap placement. So that's what we're going to do there. Otherwise, this is fine using it as a 5-piece. I can give this an A-. I do like doing something a little different, making it a little more spicy. So Emma and Cable is the way to go. Man, can't believe I drew that blank. Okay, now we have the Gamma team with APOC. Everything about this team we love. The placement, as we got to talking about this, is really good because the splash damage is going to speed up Apocalypse. You've got defense down in the room that he's in. He's in the med bay adjacent to defense down. So his opponent's going to have defense down when Red Hulk jumps into it. This is really looking like a sack once team, possibly even sack twice, because it's just a powerhouse and it's really hard to go into this. If it were me and everybody laughs at me for this, I would mirror this team, which is pretty wasteful, right? So the things that you want to take into this team just don't really work well with Apocalypse in here. It makes it an absolute nightmare. So we give this an A+. Other people do like to make the Gamma team all healers because they last a lot longer. I don't know if that's really necessary, but it's another option that you guys could look into. So all in all, we had some really good teams and some not so good teams on this. I hope this helps you out, Jwade. Remember, if you want your defense featured on Defense Up, be sure to find the links to my Discord in the description below. Just shoot me some pics of your teams and I'll put you on the list. And you can come hang out with us. You can even come live on Voice with some of your favorite content creators and talk about your terrible decisions to make crazy new teams or wow us with your ingenious ideas. Either way, come find me on Discord and check it out. Remember, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too. And I will see you next time. Bye.